Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we got some dirt racing, Xfinity racing, as well as some Cup Series racing. And for the first time in the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode, the Cup Series goes to Canada, to my home track at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Very excited for that one, and hopefully we can pull off the victory. But before that, we had the Dirt Series to get going here as Ryan Newman, he's dominated. It's no secret, he has dominated every single thing this season in the NASCAR Legends Series, and unfortunately I started down towards the bottom of the pack, and I had a really tough time just getting the hang of this track. You see Ryan Newman, he was right around me. He was way off the pace for some reason in this race, which was great to see because he was just destroying everybody. Now, as you can see, there was a lot of multi-groove racing going on in front of us, but I had a really rough start to this race here in the Dirt Series, so it was taking me a while to kind of get into my groove, and you can see I was falling all the way down to about P21 after just a lap and a half so far. So it took me a while to get into that groove, like I mentioned, but once I kind of got to the bottom and realized that I just had to plant the car on the inside and just manage it from there, then I realized we could start to gain some positions and move our way through the field. I was getting a little bit physical, running into some people like Tyler Reddick there in the 8 car, Austin Dillon on our outside, as well as Kyle Busch. But now a little bit later on lap 7, Kyle Larson was leading the way, looking for his first win on the series in the Legend Series. We were now up at a P12. Kyle Busch had a big moment there out of turns 4. He was into the wall. Now on lap 10 of 13, Travis Brown battling with John Colbert, one of our paint scheme designers that we've had help us here in the career mode, going at it for P8 and P9, and unfortunately it was now 2 laps to go and I still hadn't gained anything, but now we were up the inside of Colbert. There's some contact on the exit of the corner. Kyle Larson now starting the final lap of this race, and as we came through around one more time on this final lap, Kyle Larson already out of turns 3 and 4, and he would win for the first time this season here in the NASCAR Legends Series. We'll see if we can translate that over into the Cup Series here today in Canada as we go off into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, trying to catch Moonhead Travis Brown, but it's not going to be enough, so we have to settle for the 9th finishing position here in the Mountain Dew 100. So the question is where, of course, did the other drivers finish, like the content creators of David Schoedhaus, Michael Cozy Jr., of course you see Travis Brown there, Joey Stone up in the top 5, David Schoedhaus P6, and then Michael Cozy Jr. up there in P3. Christopher Bell had a really good race as well, but Kyle Larson could not be beat today here at the dirt track. Now, as you see, 2 drivers a lap down, Casey Kane as well as Lantion now as we come through into the Xfinity Series race here. Now, closing in towards playoff time in all 3 series, of course. In the Truck Series, we have already gotten into the end of the regular season, and the next truck race we have will be the start of the playoffs for that series. But first, we have Watkins Glen coming up here for the Xfinity Series, a track that we always look forward to, and once again, it's a very bad habit that I have here, and I unfortunately once again forgot to prepare a road course car for our Xfinity team. So we were going to be a little bit off here today in this race, and you can see we didn't start that great with Paul Menard behind the wheel, so I knew we definitely had some work to do now as he came through out of turns 1. He was moving his way forwards pretty easily now, as it definitely wasn't really too big of a hit by missing that chassis that we needed. So sure enough, as we came through up towards the exit of the S's right there, making up a few more spots, but he would be in this little side-by-side battle with Justin Allgaier as he went down towards the bus stop here, and you can see now a little bit later as he was making that pass on Allgaier, sure enough, moves forward in front of him, but it was definitely running out of just kind of like bite in the car. It wasn't really giving us what we needed for Paul, and unfortunately he just kind of slowly stopped gaining positions. He did make a pass right here through the grass on the 68 of Brandon Brown, got a little bit physical and aggressive with him. But that was pretty much it now as we come through towards the final lap of this race now as he came through into that final turn, and he had gained absolutely nothing more after that. So it was a bit of a rough race for us. We know that we always have speed at Watkins Glen, but it just wasn't enough with us missing that kind of road course car development. So we end up having to settle there for P9 now as you see Kevin Magnussen wins for the first time in NASCAR in general. So finally one of the Formula 1 crossover drivers picks up a win here in the Xfinity Series, and that as well puts Kevin Magnussen in the playoffs here for the Xfinity Series, and that will be his first playoff appearance in this series. So very happy for him. Now as we come through into the Cup Series here at my home track here in Canada, very excited for this one here, running yet another new paint scheme here on the car made by Vixen, a part of our community. Now he did a great job, to say the least, on this paint scheme. Now as we come through into qualifying, the goal was to hit a 1:18.0. This is my very first lap at this track in a Cup car in any NASCAR game. So I didn't know what to expect here. Of course, we've done Truck Series here, but that was it. So I didn't really know what my braking zones needed to be and whatnot, and how hard I needed to attack some corners, but I felt like overall the lap was pretty good. I definitely left some time on the table because I was trying to be a little bit cautious. I didn't want to throw the lap away. In road courses this season, I've had a history of throwing laps away under qualifying with crashing the car. We didn't do it this time. We hit a 117.252, and we qualify a very strong P6, and I think if we can get win number 2 on the season anywhere, this is the track to do it now, as Hailie Deegan is on pole, Chase Elliott there in P2, Austin Cindric in 3rd, Briscoe and Kyle Busch round out the top 5 as CJ McLaughlin rounds out the top 10. As you see the rest of the order on your screen there, rounding out the top 30, you got Joey Logano, Kyle Larson all the way down there in P32, the Legend Series winner from today's episode here, as we get ready to take the green flag in Canada. Alright boys, very excited for this one, of course, my home track. Thank you guys for just giving us a good car. Clearly we have some speed today, so I'll make it count, and hopefully we can go to victory lane for the second time. There you hear myself on the radio to the team, and what's crazy is after what a season it has been, only one win right now, we still have a chance actually to win the regular season championship. It is not over yet, so definitely stay tuned on how that's going to change up over these next handful of races, or just few races honestly, just 3 races left in the regular season, and after this episode we'll be down to the final 2 at New Hampshire and then the Charlotte Roval now as we get ready to take the green flag here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and finally we have our own home race here on the NASCAR Cup Series. We are underway as we go down towards turns 1. Chase Elliott, Hailie Deegan side by side there as they come through out of the first turn. We already get in front of Kyle Busch there, up into P5, right behind Cindric and Briscoe, who are side by side. Briscoe now pretty much in a must-win scenario if he wants to get into the playoffs. Elliott right now the last guy in on points. If we have a new winner today, or Austin Dillon finds a way to point himself into the top 30, well then Elliott will be on the outside looking in at that point now, and everybody, if Austin Dillon gets into the top 30 in points, everybody will be in a must-win situation because there'll be 16 different winners there. As I was 3 wide for a brief moment down into the left-hander, but fortunately we would stay clear of both Briscoe and CJ McLaughlin, who had a really good start from 10th all the way to 5th in just about half a lap so far. Elliott Deegan still side by side scrapping it out up there in front of us, but you can see they did not get a great run down the straightaway here, and that allows me to close up to the back of the 33 Penske driver of Austin Cindric there. As you guys know, every time we come to a road course, Austin Cindric always going to be a strong competitor now as we get right to the back of him here as we come through into this right bend. This is a very tricky section of track now, because if you make a really big mistake right here, it pretty much screws up your next 2 corners, and of course the most important corners on the track is the last 2 now. As Cindric makes a mistake right there in that final turn, that allows me to lunge up the right hand side, nearly making some contact with him here as we cross the line. Only 4 laps to go in stage 1, only 5 lap stages. Both Elliott and Deegan, they both make a mistake right there. Didn't really allow me to close in, unfortunately, like I was originally hoping it would, but now as we came through a little bit later onto the second lap, Cindric actually fighting back up my left hand side. I try to go defensive, I go a little bit too deep into the corner, nearly into the grass. That left the door open for the 33 to slip back up the right hand side. So here we are side by side now, down towards one of my favorite parts of racing and just NASCAR in general here. This corner is so unique, it's so fun, and when you hit it when you hit it perfectly, it's just so satisfying to come through. So that is one of my favorite kind of stretch of corners in all of NASCAR, definitely now. As we came through to lap 3 of 5 here in stage 1, Elliott Deegan side by side again for the lead there as I make a bit of a mistake nearly into the inside wall, but fortunately we kept it off there, and now we were just continuously closing in on the back of these front 2 runners. So I realized very quick we got some serious speed here today, and we might very well, sure enough, be able to win here in Canada at my home track now. So we do get clear of Hailie Deegan there, just made a move on the left hand side, made it work, and now we get right to the back of our HMS teammate of Chase Elliott. Now of course we would love to maybe help our teammate of Elliott and let him win, but I'm not going to just let him win this race easily. Now as I make a move here on his right hand side, we kind of moved him out of the way. I did not really plan to move him, but now here we are side by side down the back straightaway, and we will clear the 9 of Chase Elliott there and take over the lead with a few laps to go in stage 1. So now, of course, we're just trying to open up that gap as quickly as we can as we came through now out of that final turn, approaching 2 to go. I made a bit of a mistake, had a bit of a slip-up. That allows Elliott to actually fight back up my right-hand side as we go down into the corner. I go a little bit too deep this time here, and now that makes it even easier for Elliott to get in front of me there as we continue side by side. I had to go through the grass just so I can maintain alongside with him, but then I break a little bit too early there into turns 2, and that allows Elliott to get in front of me. So now we cut straight through to the final lap of the stage. Another mistake right there from the 9 car in turn turns 1, but it really didn't allow me to close in like I was hoping it would. But we know we have the speed to run up front in this race, so my confidence was just getting larger and larger every single second, it felt like here now as we go down into I think what turns 4 or 5 at this point now as we were trying to close in on that 9 car. But that 9 of Elliott definitely had some good speed in the car, but I felt like if I just could stay consistent, we might sure enough have enough speed to beat this guy. And right here, we're quite a bit faster than him. I felt like this is the only part of the track where I'm just downright faster than the 9 car now as we get right to the back of him, but the caution actually comes out, and that's going to end stage 1 half a lap early. So we're going to have to settle for P2 as Chase Elliott wins stage 1, gets a playoff point if he makes the playoffs. CJ McLaughlin P3, and then rounding out the top 10, you got Ryan Blaney there in that number 7 McLaren Chevrolet Camaro now, as he's going to be a future teammate of ours, as you guys know, of course, next season for that final season of the career mode. Of course, we're going to come into the pit lane here for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. As you can see, Ross Chastain down a lap. He is out of this race. He did not bring out the caution, could not actually find what brought out the caution, but now we're going to get ready to go green for the start of stage 2 here from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we have the preferred lane here. It's kind of like Watkins Glen being P2 is kind of a good thing on restarts now, as it's time to get amped. There you saw amped for that opening lap of the second stage here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We did not get the lead from Chase Elliott here as we're still chasing him, but of course you can see we are right on the back of that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro driven by Chase Elliott there for Hendrick Motorsports now as we came through a little bit later on the second lap. A chance to make a move up the right-hand side here as we go down into this unique double right-hander here. A bit of a mistake, a slip up from myself, Matt DiBenedetto putting on some pressure from behind, but we get a great exit right there for the entrance of this long back straightaway, and we are going to be able to clear the 9 of Chase Elliott. Now he's going to be under attack from Matt DiBenedetto, so pretty much everything worked perfectly right there. We got clear, we got away, and then the 10 starts attacking him as well. So things were looking pretty good for us right now, about halfway through this second stage now. At this point, you're just trying to manage the car, make sure you're not making any silly mistakes, because I still felt like I was just trying to get used to this course with the Cup Series car, because you can see right there, I still really wasn't sure what marks I needed to be hitting now, so I was definitely making mistakes pretty much every single lap at this point. But now as we came through onto lap 3 of 5, you can see in the rear view mirror we have opened up quite the gap to second place of Chase Elliott, who's actually not in second place anymore. I think it's Matt DiBenedetto who's now moved up into that second spot, but now 2 laps to go in the second stage, and we're just kind of casually cruising at this point. But DiBenedetto, once he got cleared of the 9 of Chase Elliott, he was actually starting to reel me in just a tiny bit. Definitely was getting a little bit larger in my rear view mirror, but I really wasn't too concerned because we only had 1 lap to go here in stage 2 as we came through to cross the line now after sitting a 118 flat. So just bringing the car home was the main goal here in stage 2, and sure enough, as we went down this back straightaway here for the final time, the fuel light comes on, but that's not going to be an issue. But you can see the class of the field right now are myself in the 24, DiBenedetto in the 10, as well as Chase Elliott in the 9 car. Myself, DiBenedetto, both of us have 1 win apiece. We're locked into the playoffs. Elliott still no wins and needs to finally find a way to win to get into the playoffs in case Austin Dillon makes it into the top 30 in points now as we come through out of that final turn. And sure enough, we're going to come through to pick up another playoff point here and win stage 2 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Good stuff, guys. This car honestly feels great, and I think if if everything goes our way, there's no reason we lose this race. So it should be a good win here if we can hold on. Should be a good win if we can hold on there. You hear myself on the radio to the team. So not a lot of laps in this race, as you can tell. Obviously, the game isn't designed, I guess, with the laps kind of in mind for Cup Series races. So they definitely get a little bit short. But there you see the current finishing order here in this second stage from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So we're going to come in and put 2 cans of fuel in the car, as well as 4 fresh tires, and get ready to lead the field to the green flag for the start of the third and final stage. Only 1 win on the season, surprisingly. I think at this point last season we already had 4 wins, maybe even 5 at this point. So it's been a very different season so far for us here in the career mode, and we've been really picking it up as of late. Of course, I've experimented more this season with trying different setups and whatnot, and seeing if those would really change anything for tracks that we've been close to winning at but haven't been able to win at, and they've never really worked. So I felt like that's kind of taken away some chances where we were able to potentially win races if we would have just stuck with the old formula that I've used. So definitely making up for it at this point now with 1 win on the season, locked into the playoffs, no pressure there. And now, speaking of pressure though, we got DiBenedetto and Austin Cindric just behind us, but right there we really gapped them because they are not very fast as we go down into this section there. As I go a little bit wide though, a mistake is all it takes to bring a guy like Austin Cindric, Matt DiBenedetto, back in the mix. But we would hang on. We came through now to start lap 17, and we had a nice gap between myself and second place of that 33 car. So just trying to manage that at this point now, as we do have a green flag pit stop on the way if it stays green, and there's not even a whole lot of laps left to go. So now as we came through a little bit later on to lap 18, same situation, just trying to hold on and manage that gap to Austin Cindric there in that Moneyline Ford Mustang for Penske Racing. He will be probably first round exit is my guess, to be completely honest, in the playoffs now, as he's been strong at the road courses but not the greatest at the ovals this season. Now as we come through down this long back straightaway, definitely thinking about the green flag pit stop at this point. When do we want to make it now, as we're only going to have a few laps to go, but it's not going to matter now. William Byron goes around, the 11 of Hamlin and the 38 of Todd Gilliland, and the Mercedes is involved, and I believe I saw another driver right there get a piece of it. It might have been Ryan Preece, but here's a replay here just from a wider angle. Look at that 38 hard into that guardrail right there. Very unfortunate for him, but the caution comes out as a 99 rookie of Sam Mayer is involved as well. So now we have to come into the pit lane. It was a very easy call though. It was just half a can of fuel, no tires, and no repairs. And surprisingly, yeah, with 6 laps to go, coming now to 5, this actually puts us into already a 2-lap dash to determine this race here. That's just how quick this race has been here in Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Now we get ready to command the field as we get ready to go back to the green flag action here with 2 laps to go. Can we hang on to get our second win on the season? Chase Elliott forces it 3 wide into turns 1 with myself as well as Austin Cindric. We're on the far left, which is a bit of an advantage. There's the 33 in the middle. He kind of gets pinched out of it now, and Elliott is going to go from 3rd all the way to 1st as he clears me into this now 3rd turn, I believe it is now. So a bit of a mistake there letting that happen, and look at the gap we just left there for that 9 of Chase Elliott. Now we got to get Foley on the attack and get back up there in the mix as quick as possible, because Elliott really built up a nice gap. DiBenedetto back up into that 3rd position. Elliott would love this win. It would guarantee him into the playoffs. It would break the winless streak that's been about 2 seasons at this point here, as we close up onto him quite heavily here as we come through out of that right-hander and now go down this long back straightaway. Now 2 cars out of this race, as you can see them at opposite ends of the pit lane, but now just a lap and a half to go behind us. DiBenedetto going at it with Cindric, as well as the Going Racing driver with Daniel Suarez behind the wheel. Now a good day for Daniel, which should really get us back in that top 30 safely now, and we should not have to worry in those last 2 races at New Hampshire and the Charlotte Roval about missing the playoffs potentially by not being in that top 30, even though we do have that win. So now as we come through down into the final turn, coming through to the final lap here in Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, do I want to be the team player here and let Chase Elliott win this race, or do I want to win this race and get win number 2 on the season, and more importantly at my home track here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park? That was really what was more on my mind, not just playoff points and getting those better points for the playoffs. It was just, I want to win at my home track. That was all that was on my mind right here. So now as we close in towards that back of Chase Elliott, a good 3 car lengths between himself and I right now. DiBenedetto closing back very quickly on myself here. He could be in the mix before we know it now, as there's about maybe 3 car lengths, so maybe even 2 at this point between myself and my Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Chase Elliott now, as we're going to get very close to him here as we head down to our final opportunity to maybe get a little bit aggressive and move him out of the way. And here we go. We're going to get into the back of Elliott. First time does not work. Second time, and now the third time. We move the 9 out of the groove. We run into the side of him. The bump and run here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has been activated side by side down the back straightaway. Elliott not holding back now, but we are going to get clear here as we get towards the end of the straightaway now as he falls into DiBenedetto's hands. What is that 10 car going to be able to do with the 9 car? Can he get him for second place? Elliott lunges into the right-hander. DiBenedetto up his right-hand side, and that plays perfectly into our advantage as we go down into the penultimate corner. No pressure right there now as they're still within a couple car lengths, but it's not enough through the final turn, and we are going to come through at our home racetrack to win here in Canada.
You earned that checker.
Win number 2 on the season here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I think I've said Canadian Tire Motorsports Park or just Canada and maybe home race about 27 times in this video now, so don't mind that now. But now I guess take a shot every time you heard it in the video. But so happy to bring you guys this victory now, as I think we are the 5th, maybe 6th driver to win multiple races this season. So now we're tied for the most wins on the season, surprisingly, which I didn't think we would be saying, considering how the season, of course, had started out for us here. Now, it's been an up and down season. As of late, it's been a lot more up, so that's been the good part of it, of course, but there's still a couple races left in the regular season, and of course we have another road course, Charlotte Roval, coming up in a few more episodes, but in the next one we go to New Hampshire, 2 tracks that I think we can be in the mix for both of them, so our chances at the regular season championship as well is still alive, and we could make it happen there. As you see, Chase Elliott ended up losing runner-up there to Matt DiBenedetto, and Elliott, of course, probably not very happy about that at all, because you're going to see why in just a moment here now, as you see Byron and Chastain, both of the drivers to DNF there, as Byron had that pretty large crash on lap 18 of 23. So there you see the Xfinity, or sorry, the Truck Series playoff grid. So our team, Going Racing, goes into the playoffs for the Truck Series 11 points above the cut line into that first round. So it's going to be a tough playoff, of course. And then on the Xfinity side of things, we still have 4 regular season races remaining now, as Sheldon Creed and Max Gutierrez are both in on points. Health out by 29. He might be in a must-win scenario to get into the playoffs. He's been in that before last season, and then he ended up winning in that regular season finale to get into the playoffs on literally his last chance when he had been winless all season long. So here's the Cup Series playoff grid, though. So now with Chase Elliott not winning, Austin Dillon pointed his way back into the top 30, and now Elliott is in a must-win situation if he wants to get into the playoffs. So myself moving Elliott actually ended up putting him out of the playoff grid, as every single car in the playoffs has a win. So before we end it, we want to see what's going on with this top 30 battle. Only 2 races left in the regular season. Austin Dillon is in a 3-way tie for 30th, 31st, and 32nd. So Buescher, Kraus, if they get 1 more point than him, well, then he's out of the playoffs once again. And then he's only about 11 points behind Stenhouse and like 16 points behind Blaney. So it's going to get very close for Austin Dillon. It's going to be interesting to watch that fold out. But as always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all, of course, for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode and other ones on the channel, and for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. And of course, would like to say thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasseur, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana9302, as well as King Matt XL. Thank you guys so much for the support, and have yourselves a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one at New Hampshire.